All right, thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. We have been following the latest out of the University of Georgia. The father of the UGA player killed in the crash in January is now taking legal action. That is the father of Devin Willock, one of two individuals who were killed in that January crash, the other being Chandler LaCroix, a staffer of UGA. So Mr. Willock, his attorneys have filed a legal notice, just basically giving a heads up to the UGA about an intent to sue. I want to bring in to help break this down. We have a special guest joining us. We have attorney Eric Tusink, who is a trial attorney and does civil litigation work. Eric, thanks so much for being with us. Legal notice. This is different from actually filing a lawsuit, but we're talking about a government body here. So what does this mean?
So what it means is, in the state of Georgia, whenever you need to or have the desire to bring a lawsuit against the government, be it a state, local, county, etc., you're required to provide what is called ante litem notice. And what ante litem notice is that unlike if you were suing another individual or company, when it comes to the government, you are required to follow some more advanced steps in order to put them on notice of the specifics of a potential liability. In the case of the state, you have to give them at least 90 days notice of your claim, the amount you're claiming, the facts and circumstances, the law you're citing to that make up the claim. You have to give them 90 days notice to give them the opportunity to potentially settle the matter or resolve the matter before you can bring a lawsuit before any court of the state of Georgia.
Interesting. So I think I'm not sure if you had a chance to read that notice, but what did you think of it? What stood out to you? At least I know you've done some reading on it. What stood out to you?
So I did take the opportunity to read the ante litem notice that was sent to Sonny Perdue, former governor, now head of the Board of Regents, the department, and several other individuals you're required to send it to. It's been a couple of months maybe since we talked about this last, but it does kind of have the legal claims are what we thought they would be, I think, and that is that although UGA says that Ms. LaCroix was operating outside the bounds of her employment to UGA, and thus, UGA's potential liability in this matter is limited. The attorneys for the Willock family are alleging that no, in fact, this was kind of a regular thing that would go on, and that Ms. LaCroix was instructed to do this work as part of her job duties, that the university ignored her kind of multitude of speeding tickets, and that she had been at university sanctioned events that day that involved alcohol. So I think that what you see there is Mr. Willock's family's attorneys attempting to take the actions of Ms. LaCroix as an agent and employee of the university and kind of frame them in such a way that it brings the university in regards to liability, and will they hope to show that the university is in fact a liable party in regards to this matter.
And Eric, I want to point out for our viewers, you and I talked about the potential of this happening. Actually, you called it, right? Months, weeks ago at least. I'm not sure of the timeline, but you called the fact that this might happen. You predicted it might happen. How do you think that the attorneys are approaching it? I mean, or do you have any? I don't know. I mean, would you do it differently?
No, I mean, I think they are going about it in the way that anyone representing a situation or a family facing a situation like the Willock family. I don't have any insight into this at all. This is all pure speculation, but I would imagine that this letter was not kind of the initial shot across the bow. Now, it might be kind of the public document that we're all seeing that shows that this is actively being litigated, whether it's in a court yet or not. But I would imagine there have already been conversations between attorneys for the Willock family and the university, and obviously, again, just rife with speculation here. If the Willock family attorneys felt like that maybe the university was dragging its feet, or they weren't getting where they needed to be, or some other, they had some other motivation, that by providing the ante litem notice and starting the clock on potential litigation, they're raising the stakes. They are dialing up the pressure on the university to hopefully come to some sort of resolution. And I think, it will likely have the intended effect. I would also point out one thing is that, the Willock family demands $2 million in this letter, but, if they don't resolve it here, they won't be limited to $2 million in damages should they ultimately bring a lawsuit. And so there's incentive there, because I think that there is a possibility for damages well in excess of $2 million that, the university should likely strongly consider. And I think ultimately this matter gets resolved before it goes to court, but we shall see.
So you think and we know that in most lawsuits, they're settled before they hit court, but
well, they're mostly settled before they hit trial. A lot of them are settled while in court. I don't think this one possibly even makes it to the pleading stages, but we'll see.
Okay, very interesting. So what do we see after this? What's next?
Well, obviously, and I don't have it in front of me here. I think the letter was sent kind of in early April, so now we've got a 90-day clock started on when they can file a lawsuit. And the reason just backing up on what we see next, the reason I think we don't ever see this thing go to court or not, I don't think it'll be in court for very long, is, I think there's a lot of value to be had for the university in not having depositions taken of large members, a significant number of staffers, and to have this kind of move this to the background so everybody hopefully, while remembering Mr. Willock and honoring him, kind of moves on to some of the more positive aspects of Georgia football. On the other hand, one interesting point is that there's other individuals, Ms. LaCroix's estate personally, and I don't know who. There's obviously an opportunity for other individuals to be found liable here. I would think the university would want to work on bringing some sort of comprehensive settlement that involves all parties, not just them, even if they don't necessarily have liability for the actions of third parties, in that, like I said, there's significant value to the University of Georgia in not going through a discovery process, in kind of not having their dirty laundry aired out before the court of public opinion in addition to the courts of law. And so, there would be an opportunity if, say, they brought action against Ms. LaCroix's estate, that, again, large numbers of UGA staffers up into, the athletic director and the head coaches could be brought in for deposition and kind of become embroiled in a kind of long, messy, and distracting litigation mess.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
I think that this was all incredibly foreseeable. As a University of Georgia alumnus and strong supporter of the football program, there's a law, and obviously there are some. I think the extent to which Ms. LaCroix's actions did fall within her duties to the University of Georgia is an interesting legal question. But there's the law, and then I think there's kind of doing what's right, and I think that the university absolutely has a moral, if not legal, duty to the Willock family to make things right as best they can. Obviously, there's no amount of dollars that will ever bring him back, but to the degree to which the university can do the right thing and bring some comfort to his family, I think they ought to.
All right, thank you so much. Attorney Eric Tusing, who's also a UGA alum, really appreciate your expertise and analysis.
Thanks so much, Joy.
All right, and of course, we're going to continue to follow the legal fallout from that UGA crash and much more here on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. Have a great day.